Hello, everyone. Welcome to Churchill Downs as the weekend begins in earnest. Today, we celebrate the Phillies with the 152nd running of the Kentucky Oaks. Mike Joyce, Christina Blacker, Jockey Joe Talamo here as we're getting your day started right. It's a cool, cloudy 55 degrees right now. It is going to be a little chilly. I'm going to go with the cliche here, but the action's going to be hot.
It is indeed. And the horses love weather like this, Joe. As you know, they all feel fresh and will be ready to give us their best later this afternoon.
Yeah, very excited. Going to be a long day. The Oaks is until 8:40 Eastern time today, but the people are starting to crowd in there. Hopefully they kind of pace themselves.
They did not yesterday.
No,
I know.
They're professionals out here in Louisville, though. I've got all the faith in the world they can drink all day. We have some, speaking of partying, we have some news about a right to party. You got to fight for your right to party. Kenny McPeak fighting for right to party to stay in this race, but the vet said, we have a scratch here as right to party is out. That means Robusta is in. So still, as we get closer to post time for the Run for the Roses tomorrow, more changes and more horses getting in off the AE.
And Doug O'Neill now has two horses in the Kentucky Derby this year. He'll be represented by Pavlovia. Now Robusta gets into the field as well, and he has named Christian Torres on Robusta for the Kentucky Derby.
Got some fans over our shoulder there. It's my man Nick, who works the gate. That's right here. That's Nick. Say hi, Nick. At any rate, let's talk to Oaks, though. So, right to party out. He was an outsider on looking in. I mean, we knew the Wood Memorial probably not going to give us a Derby winner this year, but when you scratch out of the Derby, man, that hurts. And today we celebrate the Oaks, and I like this graphic. The focal point of wagers involved in the 152nd running of the Kentucky Oaks. You can see the Kentucky Oaks is part of the Pick 5, the Pick 4, the Pick 6, the Oaks Derby Double, the Daily Double, 2 Pick 3s. There is a ton of wagering to go through here.
The old school Venn diagram. You need to be right in the Kentucky Oaks to be right about a lot of things. And I think you need some coverage, as we've discussed throughout this entire campaign leading up to the first Friday in May. This is a wide open edition of the Kentucky Oaks. I think you'll get a great price on whomever you settle on. And the wagering menu is plentiful.
Yeah. There's a lot of Pick 5s in there. There's a lot of Daily Doubles in there. There's a lot of Pick 4s and Pick 3s. So do consult your ADW
Can
for
you read every
information.
line of it, please?
No, I mean, I wish I had one of those brains where you could just remember. I'm sure Caleb knows every wager in every race, but I'm not as smart as Caleb. Let's talk Longines Kentucky Oaks. So let's start with the defections. A Bottle of Rouge was the first one to be scratched. My Miss Mo is out as well. And we take a look at page 2. Every also eligible got in right off this AE list. So there is no more guessing about who will make the Oaks. It's just, can this field stay intact until we get to post time? I think at this point, it's all out. Nikon was a scratch earlier today. Horse who had scratched into the race and now comes out.
Yeah, and Bella Ballerina announced yesterday as a scratch, and that was pretty significant with regards to a lot of people's top choice. Of course, the pedigree there for Godolphin, so she certainly definitely had a big effect on this race coming out. And then you get Resist into the field. Zany is an intriguing runner for Mike Rapoli. Todd Pletcher, the daughter of American Pharaoh. She was second in the Ashland behind Percy's Bar. And I think she's an interesting runner in here, Joe, because I think she's starting to be forgotten a little bit in terms of people's top choices. It's easy to look to Percy's Bar, but Zany right there chasing her every step of the way, and she has the strongest number at 1.8 miles.
Yeah, she sure does. My only concern here, I really thought she had no excuse here with Percy's Bar coming off a 5-month layoff to win by 2 1/4 lengths there in the Ashland race. So she was favored that day against Percy's Bar and the Ashland Stakes. I still think she does need to improve, but she is proven at this 1.8 mile distance being 1 for 1.
We take a look at the field for this year's Kentucky Oaks. Once again, 1.8 miles, 3-year-old fillies. The purse, $1.5 million. Let's check in for the first time today with our good friend, colleague, Caton Bradar. Caton, happy Oaks Day.
Happy Oaks Day, Mike, and I will tell you that if you walked into the barn area right now, you wouldn't really realize it was Oaks Day. It is very quiet, eerily quiet, but probably in part because of that later post time today for the Kentucky Oaks. A lot of the connections taking advantage of a little window of time to give themselves a little break and give the horses a break as well. That's certainly the case with Zany. She's taking advantage of it as she is in the stall behind me, all conked out. You don't see her at all because she is sleeping like a baby, and very, very peacefully at that. You can tell, like her and all the other horses that are in today, there is a security guard stationed by the Oaks and Derby horses. There's a big red sign that indicates a horse is in today. And they get a little bit extra space, I would say, in anticipation of the big race coming up. So we're not going to bother her at all. But what's fun about Zany is the fact that prior to her defeat in the Ashland, she was undefeated. And if not for just a second place finish, she would probably be the favorite or one of the favorites for today's Kentucky Oaks. It really is a game of what have you done for me lately. But that said, I thought she was entitled to have a little bit of step back, so to speak, as far as speed figures are concerned and experiences finish position, because she had done so much already. I think the defeat may prove to be a benefit that will bring her forward. She seems to have bounced back beautifully, maybe even picked up a little bit of weight since that last race at Keeneland. And I'm eager to see what she can do in what I think is one of the most contentious editions of the Oaks that we've seen in some time, guys.
And Joe, they're not cars. They're not going to do the same thing every single time. Horses run into and out of form. You know, some days the Celtics win, some days the Sixers win, some days Zany's wins, and some days the Percy's Bars win.
And look, this is the day you want to peak, too. I know you always want to win a Grade 1, especially in the Ashland Stakes, but if she can improve off of that, this is the race where you want to be improving and move forward off of that. And I will say she still looked a touch green down the lane at Keeneland, wanting to lean in a little bit, but nonetheless, if she can improve, and I do think she does need to take a little step forward, she could definitely get it done.
I think it's important to note that the mile and the 16th at Keeneland, too, to the short stretch there. This is a much different stretch that she has to work with today, and the added distance of the mile and an eighth. Those are both in her favor. Not that they aren't in favor of Percy's Bar as well, but those two factors will help her.
I do believe Percy's Bar was the best horse that day. I know there's an argument to be made that Zany covered more ground and Percy's Bar got the shortest trip around the track, but I think Percy's Bar was just sublime in that race. She can't poke any holes in her performance. And I feel like she's another one. She could actually build off that, right? I mean, that was her first start of the year. That was her comebacker. If she's a bigger, stronger version of what we saw at age 3, and this is where she starts the campaign, I mean, that's a lot of wins in her future.
You can't poke holes in her resume at all. As a daughter of upstart, she had no business winning at 4.5 furlongs as a 2-year-old first time out. This filly is incredibly talented, and she's shown it every single step of the way. Joe, I love her today. She's my top selection in here, and she's an absolute standout from day one.
Yeah, she's my top pick, too. I made a late double today. I did go 3 deep just for a little coverage, but yeah, Percy's Bar is my top pick. I really don't expect that 6-1 to hold up. If it does, I'm going to be backing up the truck.
I need to see this race through a different lens, Christina.
How focused do you want to be?
I need a race lens here, babe.
Yeah, we're going to go Percy's Bar for the race lens today. Ben Colebrook, very strong with winners last out. Now, of course, this is deep competition. Even though she's coming off a Grade 1 win, you're stepping in to the toughest Grade 1 of the year for these 3-year-old fillies, but he's at 33%. Keeps horses in form, that's the point. Enters off a career-high Equibase speed figure. You touched on this. Just the fact that she came back, especially thoroughgraph-wise, at or better than the level when she left us at 2 really signifies that you could see some continued improvement here today. Strongest late pace figure of the field as well. And over the last year, the horses with the strongest late pace figure in any race are winning 28% of the time.
I like what you're cooking here because that's my top selection as well. Let's talk Explora. Bob Baffert, Flavian Pratt, they get the rail draw from California. Couldn't get the best of meaning last time they matched up, but Explora is uber talented as we take a look at her effort in the Honeybee.
Yeah, Joe, you were at Oaklawn quite a bit. She was ultra impressive here in the
Yes.
Honeybee, winning by 3/4 of a length.
Yeah, so she's another one I did add on my ticket. The one negative I don't like, she was entered in the fantasy stakes and was scratched from a fever. So I would have liked to have seen another prep. But saying that, I mean, her workouts have been tremendous. 2 back, she worked 7/8 to 125 flat. Came right back here at Churchill Downs to work 58 and 4. So although I would have liked to have seen another prep, I mean, Bob Baffert, we know if there's any trainer that could get one ready off a 2-month layoff, it's him. And I do think she's going to be advantageous from a pace scenario. I know Dazzling Dame has some speed as well, but if she clears, I think she could be in the absolute perfect catbird seat and kind of get the jump on everyone else.
Can I tell you something that might be a little controversial? I think if she runs in the fantasy, I don't know that she beats Counting Stars. I think
that's a good point.
I
yeah.
think Counting Stars was really darn good in the fantasy stakes. I'm going to tell you this: the Oaks to me looks like a race where you either need to have a really strong opinion or you're using almost every horse in this field. Because if you're looking at Thorograph sheets, I'm going to put it to you this way: Pashmina has a number last time out that wins this.
You told me that yesterday. I was shocked.
I mean, it was a huge step forward, and she might bounce off it, but she does. But here's Counting Stars. I don't know that anybody was getting to her in the fantasy stakes.
Yeah, she just skipped home in the end by 5.5 lengths. Search Party, it would finish second, taken by the Wind, who was undefeated at the time, ends up checking in third here. And I like the progression for Counting Stars. There's one blemish on her resume. Not really sure what went wrong for her in the Martha Washington, but she was able to rebound very quickly and seems to be on the improve again here today.
And that's kind of the one race I go back to, which makes me have a little question mark when she was 3-5 in the Martha Washington and basically eased that day.
As Kentucky Oaks wide open running this year. I think you can make a case for everyone. Thorograph, which is a tool that all three of us here on the set need and love. Let's take a look at the numbers that these horses have run. Okay, so this is the top Thorograph figures from each contender. Counting Stars with a 4 1/4. Look at this, Pashmina, 4 3/4. You have horses running gigantic numbers that are at gigantic prices. Pashmina's 30-1. She's got the third best number on the board.
And that's what I love ever since starting here at FanDuel. I used to never use Thorograph. I was always a big buyer's guy, which I still am, but that just goes to paint the picture that even though Percy's Bar beat Zany last time out, Zany ran at 3, Percy's Bar at 6, so that just goes to show you how much more ground Zany ran in that race.
It's also important to note, if you're not a regular Thorograph user, the lower the number, the better the performance. And one Thorograph point is about 2 lengths when you're dealing with a route of ground at this distance. So that's how tight the range is with a lot of these fillies. As you can see, this is their best number, not necessarily their most recent number. But I think that does come into play with Zany because her best number came at the 1 1/8, which is the distance we run today.
The audio-visual seminar available for only $20 now. It features Jerry Brown's detailed comments for all the contenders, and it also includes tomorrow's American Turf Stakes for a bonus. I highly recommend this, especially because I know when I was starting to use Thorographs, I'd probably say 10, 15 years ago, somewhere in there, this seminar actually helped me learn how to use the numbers. It's one thing to see the number and see the representation, but it's another thing to hear Jerry use them and handicap with them. And that is also very key to finding winners here on Kentucky Oaks Day. As we check in for the first time today, Scott Hazelton. Happy Oaks, Scott.
Happy Oaks, Michael, Joe, and of course Christina. As we've come out just outside the gates, we're technically in the gates as they have this fan experience festival that goes on. Plenty of food options out here and a lot of activity, a lot of drinks being passed out, part of the experience here at the Oaks as well. But continuing with the obvious Oaks discussion, you all were touching on Counting Stars. This is the filly that I ultimately went with. I mean, she was visually impressive at Oaklawn Park. The way that Mark Casse has spoken about this filly in the mornings that we spent with him sold me on her more than anything. And Mark Casse has given me some of the best information that I've ever gotten from trainers coming out here to Oaks and Derby week. And this might be the last opportunity that I get to reference this, but when Tepin was running on Oaks or Derby Day, whatever day it was several years ago, he put me on that filly and she scored at a really nice price, and the rest is history as far as what she was able to do in her career. But he told me that she has got so much energy. So if there's any concern that she's going to potentially bounce out of that big effort at Oaklawn Park, I think you can push that aside because of the way that he discusses this filly and what she's doing. Now, admittedly, as you all have said, you can make a case for all of these fillies. This is a very difficult race to point towards one horse. And just a teaser, Michael, when it comes to the Oaks Old Forester Turf Classic Derby Pick 3, yes, that is a wagering option. I hit the all button in the Oaks, went 2 deep in the turf race, and then went about 6 deep in the Derby. That's how I think you can approach it on certain wagers. But if you're trying to pick a winner, I'm picking Counting Stars.
that might be the way to do it, because there are 230-1 shots in the Kentucky Oaks that have a chance. There won't be a short price favorite, and that's the kind of race you want to buy. How about the Oaks contenders sired by Gunrunner? Look at this. He's represented by 4 runners in this year's run for the Lilies.
Yeah, Search Party, who was second behind Counting Stars in the Fantasy last time out. Christian Torres will be aboard for Mark Cassey. We also have Maining in here for Michael McCarthy. This daughter of Gunrunner, your winner of the Santa Anita Oaks. She would draw clear by 2 lengths. She also won the Las Virgenes, but that race was kind of strangely run. It fell apart. They were sizzling on the front end. She rallied from off the pace. So it was nice to see her back it up with this performance here. Then you have Always a Runner, who of the Gunrunners would be the one that I would be leaning towards for Chad Brown. And lastly, Bobby Flay's filly, Brooklyn Blonde, this daughter of Gunrunner, also from the Michael McCarthy barn. Years ago, Mike, we had the chance to interview Bobby Flay kind of in depth. We've done a lot of interviews with him over the years because he's such a big horse racing fan. But I always remember the Kentucky Oaks is to him the pinnacle of horse racing. Whether you are stateside, international, he is always invested in fillies. He's always put a lot of money into female lines. He's interested in breeding as well. And for him, he still says the #1 race I want to win is the Kentucky Oaks.
I get it. I totally get it. And you know, I've had a piece of some fillies over the years, and I've bought into packages that were all fillies because, you know, there is the financial edge. If they have a little bit of black type or one of their siblings does, there's more chance of residual value there. But there's just something nice about a filly. There's something nice about a filly and a mare. It's a different experience, and it's hard to quantify. But I get it. And Brooklyn Blonde, 30-1. Nothing to sneeze at here. This is a horse that certainly, they all have a chance this year, Joe. This is a tough run of the Oaks.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, there's so many of these fillies in here, right, which I love lines like this. Every career start, they've improved their buyers. So,
right.
And especially on a day like today where you want to be at your absolute peak, I feel like they're kind of set up to do that. That's what's made it such a spread race.
Well, the other thing about Brooklyn Blonde, we want to talk about thoroughgraph sheets. She has a great thoroughgraph sheet. She debuts at 2, comes back at 3 in her first start, and as a 3-year-old, faster. Wins her maiden, runs faster around 2 turns, goes a mile and a 16th, runs even faster yet. She keeps improving, and that's what you want to see.
That's what, especially as the further they go, they start improving too. I hate seeing a horse that decreases their buyer or runs a higher thoroughgraph the longer distance they go.
There's a look at Brooklyn Blonde. This is a very dramatic shot. How do you not like this horse looking at that? As we take a look at the odds. So we've talked about, we've talked about everyone. How about Prom Queen here at 8-1? This is another one. You look at Prom Queen's thoroughgraph sheet, and ran reasonably fast upon debut, and then the last 2 numbers in the maiden special weight and the Oaks, and those are 2 turns. Both are competitive in this field.
Yeah, she's my little long shot play in here. She's 8-1. I'm not sure, if that price will go northward. I think it will. But I think how dramatically she's improving is really exciting. And if you listen to the Kentucky Derby Breakfast show this week, Brad Cox seems to really like this filly and the opportunity that she has to continue on that trajectory. And I like her style too, Joe. She really puts herself in a tactical position.
I was going to say style-wise is absolutely perfect, especially if Explorer and Dazzling Dame are 1-2. I think she could have a perfect stalking trip.
Let's take a look at our selections. I hemmed and hawed. The way I'm going to go through the Oaks, I didn't hit the all, but maybe I will on a smaller ticket. I just went too deep. I'm using 2 horses, #1 Percy's Bar and #2 Always a Runner. But you can see we're scattered like a week's wash on this talent selection. My goodness, we've got the whole field covered.
I am on the exact same 2 horses. I went back and forth between Always a Runner and Percy's Bar. Ultimately, what pushed me in the direction of Percy's Bar was the fact that she is a little bit more seasoned. While I think Always a Runner is as talented, she showed a little greenness in the Gazelle last time out. She kind of lost focus for a bit. You could tell she finished with a lot left and is continuing to improve. But is she going to focus enough today to beat these horses and have to run the race of her life? We'll find out, but I definitely support anybody who made her the top selection as well.
And one thing I liked about Always a Runner too, remember Chad Brown was interviewed for the breakfast show. He said, if I'm being kind, she was 70% fit. for the gazelle.
That is burned into my brain. That's what I kept coming back to.
Which is almost scary. But Christina makes a great point. I mean, look, that's only her second career start. Yes, she's 2 for 2, but still a little green. So, I mean, you can't really afford to do that in the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks. But saying that, if she was only 70% fit and she can improve off of that, boy, watch out.
Yeah, we're not worried about emerging market only having 2 starts with Chad Brown in the Derby.
I think it has to be a concern, anytime, because you can only prepare for what you've experienced, right? And although both of these horses seem very sensible, they seem extremely talented, this is going to be a pretty dramatically new experience for them. But I also get the feeling that Chad Brown would give anything to have 2 more starts under her belt. Like, he'd be coming in here uber confident if she did.
So Dubsy's going full stoolie here with Lovely Gray, who draws in off the AE, comes off of that second place finish in the Bourbonnais Oaks, second place finish in the Cincinnati Trophy. Only 1 start on dirt. We really don't know how the filly will handle the kickback and the dirt. But let's be honest. She's got an improving thoroughgraph pattern. She's coming into this race off the A. She'll have an outside draw. She doesn't need to be that close. And this is a wide open race. I don't think you can toss her. And I know, Dubsy, I'm sure you're not just bucking for a job after this place closes down, but not a bad person to kiss up to there with the El Presidente taking his gray to the starting gate.
Like, what do they say? Dress for the job you want, bet the job you want. Look, she's a complete wild card, just like her owner. But I thought we'd take this chance to turn it back a few years, go on a pretty mischievous win in the Kentucky Oaks. Cashed one of my career tickets in terms of what was spent and what came back. $120 going back to this superfecta ticket, netted close to $16,000. I remember watching it vividly out there at Santa Anita with 2 of my favourites, Ice Cold Exacta and Kurt Hoover. So let's take a fly here this afternoon. As you guys highlighted, I feel like it is a wide open edition of the Kentucky Oaks. And look, I'm going to use Lovely Gray atop the 4 place getters, but Explorer for me makes a lot of sense. So Explorer coming across from the West Coast for Baffert. After that big performance in the Honeybee, we'll use with Lovely Gray there for that first spot. Here's where it gets exciting. Meeting for McCarthy. Now, yes, bested out Explorer in the Oaks, but I'm just a little cautious to that ceiling and that top level that we can find here this afternoon, but certainly going to trouble the scorers for your top 4. In that 3rd spot, I'm going to take focus at a couple of place getters out of the Ashland there, and I tell you what, Percy's Bar going to be a very trendy pick. But if we all use Percy's Bar in terms of return, I want to see a bit of chaos. It makes a lot of sense coming in for 3rd there. Zany also looking for a bounce back. I love both of these runners, and pace makes the race. We're not trying to find the best horse, we're trying to find that best trip. Dazzling Dame certainly going to try and send it early with Explorer, and may just lose a bit of ground late. We'll use there in that 4th spot. Play along for $87. If this one connects, don't worry about a job for Uncle Dubsy. We'll be taking those mint juleps all weekend long, Mike. Back to you.
And to be fair, the Stoolies might bring the price down on Lovely Gray a little bit, but when you get that however many $80 million in the win pool, you'll get fair value there as we take a look at the TV schedule. So we're going to bring you the first 7 races today, right up to the 8 bells. And then for the 8 bells, we're going to encourage you to tune in with our friends on NBCSN or Peacock throughout the rest of the day. And then, of course, the big one, the Kentucky Oaks at 8:40 p.m. on Big NBC. We'll bring you as much as we can, but the actual live running of these races, we encourage you to take them in with NBC.
Yes, we'll still have the opportunity to do our usual interviews and all of the sort of pre-race commentary. So if you are interested in staying along for that and then maybe flipping back and forth when the actual race runs, that's another option. You'll get a lot of handicapping insight if you stick with us.
It is a great day of racing from start to finish. It's not just about the Kentucky Oaks, although it dominates the conversation. Look at the names that have come to compete on this fantastic Friday of action. You have She's So Spicy in the Unbridled Sydney, Skippy Longstopping, Tapan Street, the only horse to beat Sovereignty, Baeza in the new barn of Bill Mott, and Gazora. Of these horses, I think Gazora is the free square on the bingo board for the sequential wagers. 4 to 5 morning line, you might get half of that come post time.
I loved her at the Breeders' Cup. Forward to that electric turn of foot that she has. Again, She's So Spicy, I think, is another one that might be a horse you could single, which you're going to need in those mid-card pick 5s. Skippy Longstocking, Tapan Street, Baeza all take each other on, amongst others, in a loaded Ali Sheba later today.
Let's take a look at the field of that Ali Sheba, because Tapan Street, Baeza, Skippy Longstocking, I mean, this is as star-studded a cast as you could possibly have. Grande for the Pletcher barn. You've got East Avenue, who at one point, he looked like the best 2-year-old, going to be a Derby prospect, etc. He's still got the talent. It's been hard to lace those races together, but it's there. And this is as good of a race as you'll see all year.
I'm so excited to see Baeza come back. He was one of 4, along with Magnitude, Sovereignty, and Journalism, to come back as 4-year-olds, which, as a fan, I'm just so happy to see. But one thing of note, look, 2 races back in the Pennsylvania Derby when he won by 2 1/4 lengths. He beat Magnitude that day. What did Magnitude come back to do? Romp in the Dubai World Cup. So I'm real excited to see Baeza debut as a newly turned 4-year-old today and see what he's all about.
And look, there's an angle against Baeza, right? You can say that White Barrio got the best of Sovereignty. Skippy Longstocking got the best of White Barrio. So how is Baeza going to turn the tables on those two to get there? There's a lot. And don't forget about Tapan Street, the only horse to beat Sovereignty in his 3-year-old campaign.
Yeah.
Today sets the table, I think, for Baeza and what we're going to see from him in his 4-year-old season. I am so excited to see him back. But I do wonder if the mile and a 16th is a little short for him. Does he ideally want just a little bit more ground to be at his best? Even if he runs what is his A race, are some of the others in there better
At a mile
the
and
8.5?
16th. Yeah, that's a good point. Now I'm rethinking how I handicapped that race. Man, I should have done that yesterday. At any rate, let's get our final thoughts on the card today on the Kentucky Oaks. Start with you, Joe. What are you most looking forward to over the race day?
For sure, the Kentucky Oaks. Although we have to wait quite a while before we get there. It's not going to be till late 40. But I mean, I love Percy's Bar in there, but it's just such a wide open race. I don't think you can really kind of zero in and single one in there. If you can, hats off to you. But I'm just real excited for it.
The
How about
Oaks,
you?
Then the Ali Sheba.
Yeah.
I think that thankfully you do have horses like Kizora and She's So Spicy to help the mid-card pick 5, the late pick 5. I was tasked with an early pick 5. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
I mean, I tried. I took a good swing and we'll see where we can go. But I think you need to take a rubber band off the wallet for the early pick 5.
For me, it's Baeza. I just want to see. There was so much talent there. I bet him in the Belmont last year. I really wanted him to take a swing and beat those big horses in his division. Let's see what Bill Mott can do with him at age 4. That's going to do it on the social medias. For those of you watching on the internet, just go to the big TV and watch us. We're going to start the show anew with Dubsy and all of our good friends. It's Kentucky Oaks Day, and we're live at Churchill Downs all day long.